Hi there, I'm here with David Grzybowski. He's a LaSalle grad and the author of Mr. All Around, The Life of Tom Gola. David, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So, like I said, you're a LaSalle grad. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your history here, what your major was when you were here, what you've gone on to do after that?
Yeah, sure. So it's kind of cool to be back here on LaSalle TV and SportsLine. So I was a graduate of 2013. It was a communication major, journalism, communication degree. I lived in this studio for 4 years, which is kind of cool. It's kind of awesome to be back on campus. Just was in the TV field for a few years, worked at Channel 17 here in Philadelphia. Then I went down to Raleigh, North Carolina. I worked at CBS North Carolina down there for a year. And in the midst of that, actually while I was at LaSalle, I started to write the book, Met Gola. And here we are 5 years later with the book, and it's out. It's out now, and people get a copy, and really proud. And it's kind of a cool, unique feeling to kind of write a book and see it come to fruition. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, so you're talking about the book. This is the book here. So what really got you into writing the book? What was your inspiration for writing the story about a guy that's such a fantastic character for the school and for the state, really?
Yeah, so ironically, I did a senior project here at LaSalle on the history of the LaSalle Explorer mascots. Brother Joe Gravenstein, who is the university archivist, said that he had a relationship with Gola, and I said, can I meet him? So I did 2 collegiate articles at the time on him and kind of what Gola was doing, because a lot of people didn't hear from him at the time. And they came out. That's when LaSalle made it to the Sweet 16. One thing led to another. Kept in contact with his wife, and Brother Joe said out loud one day, someone should write a book about Tom Gola. And I guess I took that to heart. I've always admired guys that are in the journalism, TV field that have, their main job, and they also have a side hustle where they do a book or something, or a documentary or anything. So I kind of put my head down and said I was going to do it. Asked his wife Caroline for the blessing to write the book. One thing led to another, and then started it actually 3 months before he passed away. And then I just kind of put my head down and finished the book, interviewed a lot of people, almost 125 people for the book, and here we are today.
Yeah, so you talked about all those people that you interviewed. There has to be some really cool experiences there, really interesting individuals that you talked to. I mean, he's such an influencing basketball player, LaSalle grad, and he went on to be a politician for the state of Pennsylvania. So there's got to be a lot of interesting moments there. Can you share some of those with us?
Yeah, so I talked to anyone from local politicians, teammates, even down to Bob Cousy, Jerry Lucas, Tommy Heisen, Bob Pettit. All these guys are Hall of Famers. Right. Which I wanted to do with this book is get it in, not just throw out stats and statistics and hey, LaSalle won this game, they lost this game. I wanted to give them more interpersonal experience of Gola, who he was as a person. There's things that I didn't even know about prior to talking about Gola. 1964, it was kind of a dream team before the dream team, kind of the Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson team. But this happened in '64. Gola was a part of a team that went overseas with Bill Russell, Oscar Robertson, that played other national teams. So that was kind of cool to unwind. But yeah, it was really neat to get it, like you said, talk to people and get a behind-the-scenes look of his life off the court as a politician, and just kind of show the person he was as a father, as a person that had a big kind of state-like figure to him. When he walked in the room, you knew Tom Gola walked into the room. So it was kind of cool to not just go beyond his personal life, but go behind basketball as well. So it was neat to kind of correlate that angle to his life.
Yeah, of the people that you talked about, who do you feel like was the most interesting? Who had the most to say about him? Like, who told you the most that you were like, wow, that's awesome?
Yeah, I think everyone at the same time really said the same thing about Gola, that he, like you said, when he walked into a room, you kind of understood that he had that presence and persona, that celebrity figure about him. I guess, he was a people person. Right. He was Philadelphia through and through. Even when he played for the New York Knicks, he still lived in his Philadelphia home and traveled to New York. So that just shows the kind of personality he was. I just think, like I said, he was a bright guy. He was a personable dude who just, grabbed life by the horns and just winged it and gave everything he could in politics, in basketball, and in life. So I think at the end of the day, people realized he was a good person, not only just in the LaSalle community, but in Philadelphia as well.
Yeah. So you've done a lot of, or a few now, events at the school, marketing the book. What is the reception like from students and the school itself and alumni? How has that helped your book and helped you with the marketing of the book?
Yeah, it's been really, it's been a blessing, honestly, to get to the feedback and love from the LaSalle community, from Dr. Hanich to Bill Bradshaw, the athletic director. Everyone has been liking this book, which has been great. It's the first book, I think, about the basketball program and about Tom Gola himself. So it's kind of cool to see that, it's a good timing for the book with Coach Ash Howard and stuff. The programs kind of have a resurgence. People are now reinvested in the program a little bit more than they were in the past. So it's good timing to have this book come out on top of that, leading up to the season. And it's kind of cool to get people that really respect the book and like what it is. And Gola's the all-time leading rebounder in NCAA history.
Right.
So I don't think a lot of people know about that. So it's kind of cool to show that LaSalle has a rich history, and it starts with Gola, and it goes on to other players in the program as well.
Yeah. So we're talking about the past. You touched on the present a little bit there. What are your feelings on the program as it stands right now and the direction that it's going in?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think Coach Ashley Howard is doing a great job so far. Obviously, it's not to the best start, but Rome wasn't built in a day. Right. And I think that it's going to be a great couple years with him. I hope he stays here for a long time. He's a great recruiter. That was the main thing that a lot of people said about him when he was at Villanova with Jay Wright, that he knows how to recruit. He has those connections. And I think it's not going to happen in the first year, but I think in a year or two, you're going to see some contending teams once he gets a full roster of recruits in here. He's recruiting guys that I don't think LaSalle could have recruited in the past, right, from Philadelphia area as well as others in the state and the surrounding states. So I think the people have to be patient with him, and I think they're building a culture, which I think is the most important thing right now for LaSalle. Yeah,
it's interesting. We're talking about Tom Gola, who's seen as the all Philly guy. Everything he did was Philly. And you can kind of say the same thing with Ashley Howard. So that's a very interesting way to spin this new program, is bring a Philly guy in and let's get back to playing Philly basketball, Big Five basketball.
Yeah, I think people need to realize that Philadelphia is such a, obviously Big Five's here, but it's such a basketball-oriented town. I lived in Raleigh for a year, and obviously you have Duke, UNC, North Carolina State, NC State, but Philadelphia really is the mecca of college basketball, in my opinion, with all the plethora and all the programs and the rich history, the Villanova championships, and LaSalle's great teams, and Penn's, and the list goes on and on. So I think, it's good timing, and Philadelphia has a very underrated basketball program, or basketball culture, I guess.
So what's the future for you? What is your next step? What are you looking to do? Are you keeping writing?
Yeah, it's a great question. I ask myself that every day. I guess it just depends on the next opportunity. I would love to write maybe another book. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, and it actually motivates me to write another one. So we'll see. Stay tuned, I guess.
Yeah, a little Lionel Simmons action coming up next,
maybe.
Maybe?
We'll see.
Awesome. Well, that does it for us. Dave, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
I'm just going to send it back to the desk.